Previously. Naruto and Hinata are walking home when she drops a strange idea. What if her and her identical sister switched places to test if he could tell them apart? Naruto shuts it down, but something about her tone feels off. The next morning, things get worse. Hinata acts different, calling him babe, drinking tea she never drinks, reacting in ways that aren't like her at all. Small details, but they don't add up. Naruto tries to ignore it until one moment hits him. The woman in front of him looks exactly like his wife, but something is wrong. And for the first time, Naruto realizes he might not know who he woke up next to. And now, Naruto chewed slowly, his expression calm, almost distant as he finished the last bite of his breakfast. The faint sweetness of honey lingered on his tongue, but he barely registered it. His mind had already started to settle, smoothing over the unease that had crept in earlier. No, he dismissed it. There was no way Hinata would actually go through with something like that. He'd made himself clear the night before, firm, direct. He didn't want to play games like that, not with something as important as their marriage. And Hinata would never risk something so fragile, so important for something so childish. The thought alone grounded him. Naruto exhaled quietly through his nose, tension easing from his shoulders as he stood from the table. He picked up his plate and walked over to the sink, turning on the water. The steady stream filled the silence in the kitchen as he reached for the sponge, but before his fingers could close around it, Hinata's hand intercepted his. "I'll take care of it," she said softly, slipping the sponge from his grasp with a small, easy motion. Naruto blinked, pausing as he stopped. He stepped back slightly to give her space. That was different. Not wrong, just different. Hinata usually let him wash dishes when he offered, even if it was just one plate. She would smile, maybe tease him a little, but she never stopped him, never took over like this. Naruto watched her quietly. Her movements were efficient, smooth, almost practiced in a way that they felt structured. There was no hesitation, no soft rhythm he had grown used to. Just quick, precise motions, rinse, scrub, rinse again, and done. It felt like Hinata's gentle habits and more like someone used to doing it because they had to, because it wasn't expected, because it was their place, as if she was supposed to. Naruto's eyes lingered on her for a moment longer, something faint tugging at the edges of his awareness. Then he shook it off. He was overthinking again. Hinata finished quickly, placing the dish aside before turning back to him, her expression soft, composed, perfectly normal. "Go on, Naruto-kun," she said lightly, as if nothing had happened. "Don't you have to put your shoes on and go teach taijutsu at the academy? You're going to be late." Naruto blinked. Right, the academy. It clicked instantly, snapping his thoughts into place. Teaching was mandatory now, part of his path toward becoming Hokage. Responsibility, structure, expectation. "Yeah," he muttered, running a hand through his hair. "I almost forgot." He moved toward the door, slipping on his sandals quickly. His mind had already shifted, focusing on the day ahead, on students, on routine, normal things, grounding things. As he stepped out the door, he glanced back. Hinata stood in the kitchen, watching him with the same soft smile. Everything looked fine. Everything felt fine. "See you later," he said. "Be safe," she replied gently. The door closed behind him with a quiet click. Silence settled over the house. For a few seconds, the woman in the kitchen didn't move. Then she exhaled. A subtle shift. Her posture relaxed just slightly, the softness in her expression fading into something more neutral. Her eyes flicked toward the door Naruto had just exited through, listening, waiting, until the faint sound of footsteps disappeared completely. Only then did she move. She turned, walking calmly toward the back of the house, her steps quiet against the floor. The back door creaked open just a fraction, and another figure stepped inside. Hinata Hyuga. Her long dark hair was slightly disheveled. You know what that means, coming in the house with disheveled hair, right? Her breathing faintly uneven, as if she had hurried. Her pale eyes scanned the room quickly, landing on the woman standing in her kitchen. For a brief moment, they simply looked at each other. Perfect reflections, identical in every way. The Hinata inside the house tilted her head slightly, a faint smile touching her lips. "You cut it close," she murmured. The real Hinata closed the door behind her softly, her expression unreadable. "He's gone?" she asked, a small nod. He didn't notice. Hinata pressed quietly. The other girl's smile deepened, subtle, confident. "No," she said, and for just a second, something dangerous flickered in her eyes. "Not yet." Naruto stood in front of the academy training grounds, the morning sun stretching long shadows across the packed dirt beneath his feet. A small group of students stood before him, wide-eyed, eager, and just a little nervous. The kind of energy he remembered having himself at their age. For once, things felt simple, normal. Naruto rolled his shoulders once, loosening up as a faint smile touched his lips. "Alright," he said, clapping his hands together lightly. "Taijutsu isn't just about strength. It's about control and reading your opponent. You don't need to be the strongest person in the room to win a fight." The kids nodded, some more seriously than others. Naruto stepped back, raising one hand. "Watch closely." And then he moved, clean, precise, effortless. His body flowed through the motions like water, each strike snapping out with controlled force, each pivot perfectly balanced. A step forward, a twist of the hips, a strike that stopped just short of invisible targets. His breathing stayed even, calm, as if the movements were second nature, because they were. Years of battle, years of survival, years of fighting opponents that would have crushed anyone else, and yet, here, he made it look easy. The students stared, completely captivated, but they weren't the only ones. Behind him, inside the academy building, faces began to gather at the windows. First, one classroom, then another. Students pressed against the glass, whispering, pointing. "Is that Naruto Uzumaki? No way! That's actually him! That's the guy who saved the world!" More faces appeared, more voices. Naruto, unaware, continued his demonstration, finishing with a smooth final strike before straightening up. "And that," he said casually, brushing his hands together, "is how you control your opponent's center." He paused, because suddenly the air exploded. "Naruto!" Cheers erupted from the windows behind him, loud enough to echo across the entire academy grounds. Dozens, no, hundreds of voices shouting his name, hands waving wildly through the open windows. Naruto blinked. Huh. More students started pushing forward, trying to get a better view. Some were halfway out the windows, climbing over desks, ignoring their teachers completely. They gonna fucking die. "I wanna see him up close. That's Naruto Uzumaki. I heard he fought in the 4th Great Shinobi War." "No! He won it!" Teachers scrambled, grabbing students before they could fall out. "Get back inside!" one of them shouted, pulling the kid by the collar. "This is not a field trip." Naruto stood there, completely caught off guard, scratching the back of his head. "Why are they acting like that?" he muttered under his breath. To him, this was just normal. He'd lived it. But to them, he was a legend standing 10 feet away. The cheering didn't die down. If anything, it got worse. More windows opened. More students tried to look out. to wave, to call his name. Eventually, one of the academy instructors hurried out onto the field, slightly out of breath. "Naruto, we're going to have to cut this short," they said, glancing nervously back at the chaos inside. "They're not gonna calm down otherwise." Naruto looked back at the building, then at his small group of students who now looked just as distracted as everyone else. "Yeah," he said, rubbing the back of his neck. "Probably a good idea." And just like that, he was dismissed early. By the time Naruto reached home, the excitement had faded into something lighter, almost abused. He pushed the door open, stepping inside. "I'm back." The familiar scent of home greeted him instantly, and then Hinata appeared from the kitchen. The real Hinata. Hair fixed, not disheveled, as if she were cheating or something. Her steps were soft, natural, unhurried. Her pale eyes lit up gently when she saw him. And the smile she gave him, quiet, warm, unmistakably hers, settled something in his chest without him even realizing it. "Welcome back, Naruto-kun," she said softly. Naruto blinked for a second, then smiled. "Heh," he replied, slipping off his sandals. Everything felt normal, right. No strange tension, no subtle missteps, no off rhythm, just her. He walked further inside, glancing toward the kitchen. "You wouldn't believe what happened at the academy today," he said with a small laugh. "The whole place went crazy. Kids were trying to climb out of windows just to watch." Hinata giggled lightly, the sound soft and genuine. "That sounds like you, Naruto-kun. You've always been popular." Naruto shook his head. "I don't get it," he admitted. "I was just showing them basic taijutsu." Hinata stepped closer, her presence calm, grounding. "To them," she said gently, "you're not just anything." Naruto huffed quietly, but there was no real disagreement in it. He didn't question anything. Not the morning, not the small inconsistencies, not the fact that the woman who greeted him now felt perfectly right, because in his mind, that was all the proof he needed. And somewhere in the house, unseen, unheard, the game Hinata had set into motion continued, and Naruto Uzumaki smiled, completely unaware that he had already failed the first test. Naruto leaned back into the couch, the tension from the morning finally beginning to melt away as the quiet comfort of home settled around him. The soft rustle of fabric broke the silence as Hinata shifted, gently climbing onto him, her weight light as she rested against his chest, her head tucked beneath his chin, her arms draped loosely around him, familiar, warm, right. Naruto let out a quiet breath, one hand coming up instinctively to rest against her back, his fingers brushing slowly along the fabric of her shirt. His eyes drifted half closed as he relaxed into the moment, the steady rhythm of her breathing syncing with his own. This felt like her, not the strange tension from earlier, not the small, nagging inconsistencies that tugged at the edges of his thoughts. None of that mattered now, because this felt real, perfect even. Naruto's gaze softened as he stared at the ceiling, his mind finally settling. Yeah, he exhaled quietly through his nose. "I was definitely overthinking." His hand moved again, absent-minded, tracing small circles against her back as she shifted slightly on top of him, her body pressing closer, more comfortable, more certain. Naruto didn't question it, didn't hesitate, because in this moment, everything aligned exactly the way it was supposed to. And as he closed his eyes fully, letting himself sink into the warmth of her presence. One quiet thought settled firmly in his mind. This is how it's supposed to feel. Completely unaware that somewhere beneath that comfort, beneath that perfect imitation, something was already broken, and Naruto Uzumaki couldn't even feel the cracks forming beneath his hands. But guys, I'm going to end it off right there. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Well, actually, I'm going to just leave it up to you to decide what you want to do. But I do want you to click this video that's right here.